It was just about not knowing. It was something that was really a doorway for me. For example, when you talked about divine ignorance,
Okay.
I mean, last, and for me, I really was sometimes in this kind of, when you said last time you felt stupid almost,
Yeah.
like it was a kind of ignorance. So
Yeah, I've got your question.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got your question about not having said everything is only knowing. What do I mean by not knowing? Or why is it?
It's not really related with knowing.
No, but
with the previous question.
Let me. Can I say something anyway about what you've just said, because it's beautiful what you've just said, and if I have incorrectly intuited your question, come back, because it's beautiful what you said about not knowing, unknowing, and why. It's hard to explain this, so bear with me. Why the mind cannot know anything that's true, and therefore why not knowing is the highest truth for the mind. And that doesn't contradict what I've just said. So let me try and explain why. You can see me because, I mean, I'm just talking ordinarily. You can see my body because your eyes, I know we don't see with the eyes, we see through the eyes, but for the purposes of this description, let's imagine we see with the eyes. The reason you can see me is because your eyes are at a distance from me. Yes, your eyes stand as the subject, and my body is their object. And everything you can see with your eyes stands at a distance from them. Yes? So everything you see with your eyes, you see in subject-object relationship. Your eyes are the subject of the experience, and everything else is the object. Why can't you see your own eyes? When you try to see your own eyes, what do you see now?
It's too close.
There's a blind spot. When you try to look at your eyes now, there's a blind spot. You see nothing. Yeah. Why can't you touch the tip of your finger? You can touch everything with the tip of your finger, except the tip of your finger. So when I touch the table, my finger is the subject, the toucher. The table is the object. I can touch everything. With everything I touch in subject-object relationship. My finger is the subject, everything else is the object. Why can't I touch the tip of my finger with the tip of my finger? Because the tip of my finger, I can't separate. In order to see something or touch something, whatever sees or touches needs to be separate from that which it sees or touches or hears or tastes or smells. In other words, all seeing, all touching, and indeed all knowledge and experience takes place in subject-object relationship. And that's not only physical experience, but thoughts. I know my thoughts. Feelings. I feel sad. All knowledge and experience takes place in subject-object relationship. And the subject must stand apart from the object and know it at a distance. When the eyes try to look at themselves, what's the experience? Nothing. When the finger tries to touch itself, what's the experience? Nothing. So when the subject tries to know itself, there's a blind spot there. There's no knowledge or experience there. Okay, I'm just establishing the principle. Now, think of pure knowing. Infinite, all alone. If we've said there's only, if we accept, at least provisionally, there is only knowing, then there are no divisions, there's just knowing. What is knowing's experience? What is knowing's objective experience? Nothing. It cannot stand apart from itself. Where would it go? You can stand apart from me, relatively speaking, and see me. But how would knowing separate itself from itself and look back on itself and say, I experience you as knowing. I'm the subject of the knowing and you are the object. It can't do that. It's a blind spot. So what is its objective experience of itself? There's no objective experience there. Now, go back to the separate subjective experience, the one that knows, sees, hears, touch, tastes, and smells. From its point of view, from the point of view of the finite minds, the apparently separate subjective experience, how would it conceptualize knowing's experience of itself? It would conceptualize it as nothing, as not knowing. So what is for knowing is for the finite mind not knowing. So the best the mind can do is not to know, to be in the darkness of unknowing. And that is why all the spiritual traditions, in one way or another, are a process of emptying the mind of its knowledge, that the emptier the mind becomes, the more the mind moves from knowing in subject-object relationship, the more it moves towards not knowing, the closer it becomes to pure knowing, or in religious language, God's presence.
Yeah, I feel exactly what you're saying. But sometimes it's just that I feel that the teaching is bringing me back to the known, and it's like the mind, even if he had this experience, he wants to re-examine, check again.
That's good. And just keep on checking, going over and with your mind. That's fine.
But when you check, it's not there, you know.
That's good. Sooner or later, your mind will get bored of checking. You will have done it so many times that your mind will say, "Okay, I don't need to do it again." I understand. You know, my mind, it did it for 30 years, 40 years. It just went on and on, checking and pushing, and in the end, thinking, exploring, reading, and in the end, it just began to quieten down. I had checked so many times. I had traveled every avenue of thought I could possibly imagine. Some of us have minds like that, and some of us are burdened with minds like that. We have to go on and on and on, checking, and in which case you just have to do that. Others, their minds don't raise so many objections, and that's fine. But if you have a mind like that, you just keep checking. And sooner or later, the evidence will be overwhelming, and your objections will begin to die down in the face of the evidence.
It's just, I feel it's also related to fear. And sometimes I also feel, for example, with this understanding, like when I go to sleep, sometimes I almost feel fear, because it's like I'm gonna die consciously, and it's almost like it's a lot, like every evening, you know, dying. Like I feel almost the fear of just sleeping, so, but a little bit. And
yeah,
have you knew that? Or?
Yes, it's yes. When we go to this, to what is from the mind's point of view, this unknowing, it is a kind of conscious death. Meditation or prayer, it's a kind of conscious death. It's the subsidence of the subject-object relationship. It's the death of the separate subject of experience. It's what the Sufis call dying before we die.
Thank you so much for everything.